Hello, everybody. My name is Spencer Morrison, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the minimum wage. Um, and specifically, I will be arguing against the idea of abolishing the minimum wage. I'll be arguing against that policy change. There are many reasons to keep and also to abolish the minimum wage, but for this video right now, I'm just going to be focusing on a few um, specific arguments as to why we should keep it around. Mainly focusing on uh, employment and employee spending, and then also going a bit into mental and physical health through things like nutrition, also just mental health, being able to find work. So the minimum wage was it was established in 1938 by the Fair Labor Standards Act. And one of the most important things that it did was it increased the incentive to work, especially among people of the lower classes, and especially in places of lower population density. Basically, the idea is that when companies have complete control over wages, especially in areas of lower populations, incentive to work is greatly diminished. Meanwhile, the introduction and increase of minimum wages can increase motivation to work, improve employment and worker satisfaction. Some people might say that this doesn't really work for all demographics and areas, but it is one important factor to remember when we're talking about the minimum wage and how it affects the economy and general worker satisfaction. In addition to higher employment rates, there's also a lot of evidence that the general mental health of people who make minimum wage increases too. The idea is that as wages increase, that employee satisfaction goes up, and that lower class that's very susceptible to mental health and depression and other debilitating conditions, um, that as they make more money, their mental health increases as well. There's a lot of evidence that suggests a reduction in suicides and in smoking, also an increase in birth weights, reduced depression, and all sorts of other helpful things. Some people might say that this applies mostly just to the lower class of people that make the minimum wage, but it's an important factor to still remember that as we increase wages, that the mental health of the lower class increases as well, which is always important. The mental health of the lower class is not the only factor to take in as well. There are many studies that also show that higher minimum wages can help improve the nutrition, the general nutrition of that class and also the nation as a whole. The idea here is that as um, the wages increase, the ability of the average American worker to afford healthy food increases as well. That as people make more and more money, that they are able to afford uh, more healthy foods and not have to rely so much on unhealthy foods that have been highly processed and fast foods and things like that. Um, Again, others may claim that while minimum wages improve the health of some, it also encourages family to spend their money more on restaurants and other unhealthy options. Um, but there's also a lot of evidence that suggests that the opposite is true. That as people uh, get more money, that the incentive to cook at home and the incentive to buy more healthy foods also increases. One of the most common claims against the minimum wage is the idea of inflation. The idea that as companies are forced to pay their workers more, that they also will raise their prices to compensate, resulting in a decrease in how much buying power our money has. Um, I want to claim that this is a valid argument. That inflation oftentimes is linked to increased wages that are being imposed by the minimum wage. But what I want to do here is to express that the when we're weighing the difference between abolishing and keeping policies like these, that there's always more than one side to it. While I've been arguing on the side of the minimum wage. That doesn't mean that there aren't valid arguments against it. Inflation definitely can be a risk. But when we're talking about these things, we can focus on one side of things, like I did with the mental health and the physical health and the employment rates. But it's also important to uh, understand and learn about the other side of the coin of the drawbacks as well. And while there are many arguments, valid arguments, I might add, against the raising of the minimum wage, it is my opinion that the minimum wage is a very important part and a very important institution in our government and in our society, and that it has helped shape the economy and the state of our country today.